But you're all very, very welcome on this auspicious 12th of July 2026. And that date's very, very important here. Northern Ireland. Now, I start off with a shout out to my little band of Patreon followers. God bless you one and all, whose generosity continues to allow this vlog continue and me to afflict comfortable and comfort the afflicted. And so if you'd care to join their number, then all you do is go to that link up there. Patreon.com/Jake O'Kane, where for the price of a cup of coffee a month, you can join their number. And their names, of course, will always be mentioned at the end of every vlog because they're much appreciated. Okay, it's been some week. How momentous has this been? I've waited until Sunday. I don't know what time it's about. It's about 3 o'clock on a Sunday. I'm doing this. I've only got a couple of hours to get this edited because I wanted to wait because the big match was on last night. Yes, not only is it the glorious 12th today, but England last night won a place in the World Cup semi-finals when they defeated Norway. I have to admit this, boys and girls, please do not share this with too many people. But the fact is, there was one stage of the match I found myself cheering for England. I don't know what came over me. I don't know what happened to me. It may have been a wee aneurysm or something. But anyway, it's going to be interesting. And the fact that England won will be seen by many Protestant brothers and sisters here as a harbinger of better times to come. But because it's 12th, because I know a lot of the people who watch this are in foreign parts. They're all over the place. They're in Canada and they're in America and there's a couple in Japan even, and all across Europe. So I thought it would only be fair if I made an attempt to explain to all you people what the 12th of July means here. What it stands for. So here we go. Here we go. You ready now? Here we go. The 12th of July is a sectarian celebration steeped in bigotry, intolerance and hate where Protestants celebrate a battle won over Catholics in 1690. I couldn't resist that. I'm only messing. Let me have a wee bit of fun here. I've got to have a wee bit of fun. Couldn't help myself. Let's do this without being an uber fiend. Do you understand? Let's try a wee bit of impartiality here. So the truth of it is, yes, the 12th does commemorate what was known as the Battle of the Boyne, because it was fought down in the Boyne, the river, in 1690, where Protestant King William of Orange defeated Catholic King James. Now, the Orange Order has been set up to commemorate this victory, and it holds an annual march every 12th of July. The marches are mainly in Northern Ireland, but there's bands of them out in Africa even. They're very big in Scotland, big contingent in Scotland, and there's even one march every year across the border in the Republic in Rossnowla and Donegal, where they have a lovely time, and there's no hassle whatsoever. Now, as the 12th this year fell on a Sunday, marches here have been rescheduled until the 13th, the Monday, right? Because the Orange Order has very deep roots in conservative Protestantism, and the keeping of the Sabbath is of primary importance. Of course, ahead of the 12th, there's also the tradition for bonfires to be lit on the 11th night. Now, over the last 10 or so years, the size of these bonfires have increased dramatically, with one of them breaking the world record for its height. It has also now become traditional for Catholics and nervous middle-class Protestants to take cover to watch the proceedings from the top of Cave Hill in North Belfast at midnight, and to take their pictures and all that. I went for the first time. I live. You know I love Cave Hill, but it was the first time I actually went up on the 11th night, and I took this picture. Look at that. That's amazing. All the wee sort of orange dots you see there are the dozens of 11th night bonfires being lit across the city at 12 o'clock. Now, there has been tragedy involved with the bonfires over the last number of years, with deaths occurring of bonfire builders who have fallen from the pyres they've been building high up in the sky, with one tragic death this week. Such deaths, I'm sad to say, are likely to continue due to the fact that health and safety laws here only apply to the workplace. And as the bonfires are built by volunteers, that's therefore out of the remit of safety legislation. But let's hear the truth here. See, even if that legislation were enacted to cover bonfires, to limit the height of them, it's very, very unlikely that could ever be enforced. Indeed, the dangers of the 12th bonfires are not limited to those building them. Like 10 years ago, I did this bit of material about other dangers.
It's the size of them. It's the size of the bonfires I have a problem with. And I said last year, I used this picture to demonstrate that in New Mosley, the bonfire was so big and so hot, she drank her goldfish. That's how hot the bonfire was. The inevitable happened. 2016, they burnt down a wee woman's house in the Shankill. Burnt it to the fucking ground. What done my scorn is the wee woman was interviewed. Wee old woman, she was interviewed. She was so magnanimous. The children were only having fun. The children were only having their wee bonfire, which they only do once a year. They burnt your fucking house down, you lunatic! This had to be the first time in her life she would go, you wee bastard, yes, I'll fucking kill you. What were you going to do? Well, burn your house down. You already have, you fucking wee shit.
Believe it or not, only last night, I know most of the bonfires are going to be lit tonight after midnight, so it's into the Monday. But a few bonfires seemingly have been lit across smaller bonfires. And would you believe it? More homes were burned down last night. And it's not been proven, but some believe that the reason these houses were incinerated was that they were adjacent to a 12th bonfire. Condemnation of any of this is utterly futile. As if you're a Protestant doing it, you'll be called a Lundy and a traitor, and if you're a Catholic, you will be termed a Fenian, intent on using the law to stop an ancient loyalist tradition. All I would want is safety. Do you understand? I do not want the bonfire stopped. I don't even mind big bonfires. But I do believe that there has to be some degree of safety, not only for those building them, but for those who happen to live around them. And I think that's only common sense. Because the tragedy is, as with most of the stuff here, people's reaction to the 12th and the bonfires is binary. For the vast majority of Catholics, it's viewed as a sectarian show of strength by Protestants. And for the vast majority of Protestants, it's seen as a traditional expression of their Protestant culture. And up to this point, everything I've said could be heard from any other commentator. I've just realised that. Right up to this point, you could be reading this off a script from somebody in England. So here, let me tell you, let's just for a wee change, just bear with me in this. Just let me work this out in my own head. Okay, if you don't, I like to transgress and try to relate that as a young Catholic growing up in Northern Ireland, how the bonfires and the 12th affected me personally. Right, when I was around 6 years old, my family moved to the Dunkern Gardens in North Belfast. Now, we moved into a beautiful three-storey terraced house, and it was a big step up for us because previously I lived in a wee flat above the bar my father owned on New Lodge Road. My mother told me a funny story. We hadn't moved in long to the new, because Dunkern Gardens was right beside Tigers Bay. You know, Tigers Bay and New Lodge Road have always been beside each other, so Tigers Bay was exclusively Protestant, and New Lodge, there was mixture, but it became completely Catholic. But a few weeks in, they seemingly having moved into their new abode on Dunkern Gardens, seemingly my mother told me, I was 6 or 7, I came running into the house, covered in dirt, screaming, I need wood, I need wood, I need wood to burn, I need wood for the bonfire. My mother naturally asked, what are you burning? To which I replied, the Pope, we're burning the Pope. Now, at age 6, I had no concept of either religion nor politics, right? And I'd begun hanging out with the kids from Tigers Bay, who'd been collecting wood for the 12th bonfire to burn the Pope. Needless to say, I was sent to my bedroom and not allowed to play with them boys ever again. That was 1967. And within 2 years, the Troubles had ignited, and so had our home on Dunkirk Gardens. As being at the intersection between Catholic New Lodge and Protestant Tigers Bay, we were burned out. I was sent to my granny's high up in the Sperrin Mountains, and my time there was idyllic. I'll talk about it some other time, but it was as far from the Troubles as you can imagine. Still, it was while living at my granny's that I experienced my first nightmare. Well, anyway, the first nightmare I can remember. Now, it had to be memorable as being neurodivergent. I can hardly remember what I did last week, no matter what I did when I was 8 or 9. But this particular nightmare, I remember to this day. So what happened was my granny's house sat in a valley between two high mountains, and there was a wee narrow undulating road that led up to her house. And it really did go like that. It was like a cartoon road. It went up and it went down and went up and it down in a matter of feet. So I was in bed, and where I slept was at the front of the house with my granny, and our room overlooked the road, looking down the valley, down the road. And my nightmare involved me, I thought, wakening up to the sound of orange bandsmen. Right? And I knew what they were. I immediately knew what they were. So in my dream, I sneaked out of bed and went over to the bedroom window and pulled open the curtains. And it was daylight. You know what I mean? It was a dream, so everything's weird. It was daylight. And I'm looking down this undulating road, and I could hear the bands getting louder. And then, to my horror, I saw one of the orange banners, one of the big orange banners, just summiting one of the peaks in the road. And then there was another one. And then there was another one. And the bands were getting louder and louder and louder. And I seemingly woke up screaming, because in my wee head, they were coming to get me. Now, with that as my lived experience, it would be expected my attitude to the Orange Order would be and remain somewhat negative. But that is not the case. In fact, I am at best ambivalent towards that organisation, and one possible and probable reason for this is I understand why people join the order more than maybe others would. You see, my own father was a member of the Burnian Order, which in many ways mirrored the Orange Order, as they too wore sashes, only in their case, their sashes were green rather than orange, and they too marched only once every 4 or 5 years. So I had the memory of standing as a wee boy at the side of the road, waving to my very proud father as he marched down the road with his green sash on. When I reached 16 years of age, I came of age to join my father in the order, and he asked me to do so, and I refused, which was a very, very hard thing to do because I loved and respected my dad, and I knew it disappointed him. My problem was that, like the Orange Order, the Hibernians were religiously exclusive. What I mean by that is you had to be a Catholic to be in the Hibernians, just as you had to be a Protestant to be an Orange man. And me, even though I was only 16, it just didn't sit right with me to join any organisation which was exclusive in any way. In my view, unless everybody was allowed to join, I wasn't interested in joining. But having had that experience of having disappointed my father, I believe that I understood that the vast majority of those who march wearing either green or orange sashes do so not out of hatred of their neighbours, but instead out of respect for their fathers. I'm lucky that was my attitude, very lucky, because wouldn't you know it, some 40 years later, I happened to marry a woman whose father had been a member of the Orange Order. Eddie welcomed me into his home like a son. He was a man who did not have a vegetarian bone in his body. Indeed, as you'd have it, to prove this, both of Eddie's daughters ended up marrying Catholics. Like, I remember joking on stage, trying to envisage what it would be like for Eddie going back to the lodge after the first daughter married me, and the Grand Wizard or whoever it is going over and putting their arm around Eddie to console him. Eddie, now, sorry, now, Eddie, now, that's a terrible thing, Edward. It's a terrible thing, but it could happen to any of us. Could happen to any of us, Eddie. Don't you be worrying about that. When his second daughter married a Tig, I can imagine the Grand Wizard going,
Edmund, come here. Have you read our rule book, Edmund? Like, have you even read this, for God's sake? What's going on with you, man? Can you not control your women?
It could only happen here. Could only happen here. So here's the thing. After my father and my father-in-law passed on, I inherited their sashes, and I decided to have them framed in memory of two men from totally different traditions and religions who, to their eternal credit, managed to bring up children capable of transcending those differences. And that is my application to join the Alliance Party. I will be standing as your local representative. I'm only messing. Again, I'm a comedian. You got to understand this. This is what's going on here. So, there happens to be a continuing argument going on in psychology which probably will never be answered. And it's trying to understand where bad intersects with mad. Or is there an intersection, or is there a causational factor between the two? I believe a suitable case for study would be professional hit baiter and monger and grifter Katie Hopkins, who seemingly is now a stand-up comic and who graced our shores over the weekend to appear in what was described as 2 sold-out shows in Belfast's Europa Hotel. I want to be fair here, you understand? I thought the least I can do is watch some of Katie's stand-up. So, to my great cost and pain, I watched some of Katie's stand-up. And I have to report, it was of a level of utter shite I have never seen, even though on many nights I have hosted many beginners and opener shows for many years. This was bad. This was bad. I'm going to give you do you make your own mind up here? Here's a clip of Katie closing the show. Now, this is all scripted, obviously. This is not improv or anything. She has scripted all this. And this is obviously her killer end piece. Brilliant.
Here we are, live at the Blackburn Empire. First up, first story of the day, Lucy Connolly on appeal, trying to get out of prison, 2 years and 7 months for a single tweet. Typically, of course, they haven't announced whether her appeal is successful because this corrupt government doesn't want to see celebrations in the street or to be told that they were wrong. In other news, Keir Starmer is still a spangle. He now says he's going to have deportation centres for illegals, this time in Albania. So the same as the Conservatives' idea in Rwanda, but Albania instead. And then finally, Ed Miliband and his wind turbines in Scotland has to acknowledge that his wind turbines are actually running on diesel generators. That's it, my friends. That's your confidence prison.
That's bad. I'm sorry, but that's just bad. That's just yes, that's bad stuff. Now, Katie's become a poster girl for far-right anti-immigration. Although she's had a somewhat bumpy career. Like, she started off, this is an example of her mocking the working class. She now tries to let on she's one of the working class. No, never was, never will be. She turned up in the Good Morning show to mock the working class, who she said were being ridiculous by giving their children names of places and silly names, only to be hoisted beautifully on her own petard. Oh, watch this and smile.
Just territory, you start to judge someone on their surname, right?
Well, as I said, I don't judge people on their surnames, but certainly I do make a very quick decision based on their first names. And there's a whole bunch of first names that I don't like. I don't like footballers' names. I don't like names after seasons of the year. I don't like geographical location names, celebrity names, things like Apple, things like, you know, Tilly Fizz or Jolly Apple, whatever they've decided to call their crazy.
Poppy.
My child's called Poppy.
Yes.
It's a flower.
It's a flower.
A geographical seasonal.
No.
They're not like Latin.
Poppy's quite
You should
jolly.
call to the Latin name for Poppy. That would have been really posh.
Interestingly, though, other people have criticised me for calling her Poppy because they say Poppy's a naughty name. So
you like-
parents
did you
do
say, what
criticise
about
each other.
geographic stuff?
Geographic. Oh, so Brooklyn or London.
Your
or,
child's called India.
Yes, but you know, that's because it's not related to a location. That's because it's related to a...
Get this better twisted, idiot, is the sort of attraction the Hastings group of hotels now believes is suitable for what one of their flagship venues. Like someone of my age, right? I'm 65. Not only was the Europa Hotel world famous for being the most bombed hotel in the world, it was for us the Dorchester. Like it was like for here, it was like a Claridge's, and it would have been the sort of place, very posh place, you know. It'd have been the sort of place Malone Road residents went for a little cocktail after a night in the Opera House. It appears it has now dropped to a level of being a venue for anti-immigration mouthpieces, passing off racist rants as stand-up comedy. For let's be honest, the appearance of Katie Hopkins is the death knell for the Europa, proving that it is long past its best, with the Merchant Hotel and most recently opened Bedford Hotel light years ahead of it. We can but imagine what other attractions the Hastings Group has in the pipeline for us. Maybe they're going to present us with high tea with Tommy Robinson, or a fashion night hosted by the Ku Klux Klan. What we do know is this. I'm not condoning this. This also was wrong. But if you want to see how she is viewed in England by the vast majority of English people in hostelries, this is what happened to her about a month ago when she tried to buy a drink in a pub in Bethnal Green. And why is old Kitty so hated? Because she's a hate baiter of the highest order. Like even when she was here doing her supposed stand-up comedy, she couldn't resist interjecting herself into the controversy over the Moygashel bonfire in Tyrone. Like last year, that bonfire had a full-size boat with mannequins dressed as immigrants, which they burned. And this year they had a mosque on top of it. Well, this is what Kitty had to say about it.
I'm here in Moghashel, where the very, very naughty people of Northern Ireland have done this. I mean, can you even believe it? I am shocked. I am horrified. It's an insult to the Islamic community. It's an insult to mosques. It's an insult to the Mujahideen. And it's an insult to Muslims everywhere. If I was Sadiq Khan now, I would be raging. I would organise a public prayer meeting here in Moghashel in order to protest this, because I'm shocked. The Muslim Council is shocked, and everyone is shocked. Northern Ireland people should know much better, because honestly, you should allow thousands of illegals into your country to do harm. You should allow illegals into your street. All that they've done is just a simple little bit of beheading, a simple bit of stabbing people's eyes out, a simple bit of not being conducive to the public good. But you should not protest that, no. But also the same Article 10 of the European Human Rights Act that allows illegals to come into our countries is the same human rights act that allows protest and cultural expression. And after all, this is a bonfire that celebrates the Battle of the Boyne back in 1690. So it's a cultural thing and a protest thing. But either which way, we are outraged by this whole thing. It's despicable, it's disgusting, and I do not condone this behaviour in any way whatsoever. Go on then, lads!
I particularly like the fact that you couldn't take the time or bother to learn how to pronounce the name of Moygashill properly. That's how much he thought of yous. This is what I said on learning about the Moygashill bonfire. I was out for a wee walk and I summed it up like this.
Great to be back home, away from them hot streets in London, back up my cave hill. I arrived home to the stories in the front of the papers about Moygashill bonfire. You know, a traditional cultural bonfire every year where a bunch of middle-aged men make complete dicks out of themselves, sit in the parks all year drinking cider, trying to work out how can we offend the most people, hey, get our names in the papers. Well, here's the punchline. Last year it was refugees on a boat. This year it's a mosque on top of their bonfire. Because we don't want no immigrants. Moygashill, you're safe. Really, let me tell you, nobody, and I do mean nobody, wants to go to Moygashill. The other punchline is, of course, that nowhere in the world is in such need of immigration as Moygashill to widen the genotype. Because Moygashill proves what happens to a population when for generations they marry their cousins. More on this on Sunday at 7 on Jake O'Kane at Patreon.
I wouldn't change a word in that. I hold firm in the belief that those responsible are professional bullies and wasters. They remind me of the naughty child in class at school who continually misbehaved to get attention. For I'll bet good money that few of their number are in employment, and if they are, it isn't as brain surgeons. For them, therefore, the only chance they have to get noticed is to be outrageous and offensive. Like, I'd suggest next year the media should just simply ignore their antics and let them stew in their own bile. I doubt few of them are going to understand this, but I'm going to try to educate you anyway. I want to explain to you something about your own history and lineage. For here's the ultimate joke. Those racists in Moygashill are the direct descendants of other immigrants who also came here illegally on boats during what was called the Plantation of Ulster in the 1680s and 90s. And as with some of today's immigrants who have a different faith in that they're Muslim, well, their antecedents also had a different faith, being Protestants settling in what was then an exclusively Catholic Ireland. Like, in truth, the people of Moygashill have much more in common with today's immigrants than those of us who have been here all the time. I guarantee those new immigrants have much more to offer our society than offensive bonfires and dead-end racist politics.
Why did you do that? It's what I do.
That's all, folks.